Well, I've started to check out some horror movies, and I think I'm going to keep doing it. And I've gotten quite a list of recent films that were recommended by another channel that I am unfortunately blanking on. Where I'd, I'd, I'll try to figure that out in another video. But anyway, so first on the list was a film called Lovely, Dark, and Deep. What's with that title? Well, the main actress is a very pretty woman, and so she's certainly lovely. But it's also referring to the nature of this park. She's a park ranger in this national park, and basically the premise is there's been a lot of mysterious disappearance within the woods and whatnot, and nobody ever knows what happened and that sort of thing. And for her, when she was a girl, her sister disappeared into the woods and was never found. Interestingly enough, she now an adult becomes a park ranger, and her direct predecessor was a man who disappeared into the woods, never to be seen from again. So obviously something's afoot. So right off the bat, there's the supernatural is at play here, and for a bit you might have thought, oh, maybe you're meant to think it is, but it's something else and all that. But no, it's there's something very weird and supernatural about the woods, and she discovers this, and of course her fascination comes from the trauma she suffered as a child, but ultimately she experienced what happens when someone is lost in there. And I'm not going to give away all the different details, but so the scares and whatnot are well played out, and then it goes into, which is common with these sort of narratives, it becomes very surreal, and there's elements of her past and whatnot that's played out, and it becomes clear she's being tormented with difficult memories and whatnot. And she does encounter people who have disappeared and so on and so forth. And there's a lot of atmospherics to it, which is very important, because that's, right off the bat, you're in the environment of the woods here. And at first it's all beautiful. This is park and everything. And the sounds of the trees in the wood is emphasized here, but it becomes clear that it becomes very threatening as when she's in danger because of all this, and that sort of thing. So there's the back and forth in that flow, and it's used to great effect in setting the mood and atmospherics of it. And that's really the high part of it, is a lot of that. It kind of fizzles here and there somewhat, because it's like, what else can you do, and that sort of thing. So the selling point is her experience that you're viewing through this, and of course how powerful does the mood and atmosphere capture your attention. And so, I was intrigued, and so it captured it for the most part of the film. And there is a rather dark turn in this. A lot of it, I thought, well, she's hearing things and this sort of thing, and she's being driven insane in the horror of this. But some parts of it, it's sort of difficult. Is exactly what were the rules for why this is happening, and what do you do, and that sort of thing. Spoiling it. I mean, there's something she did. That is why she's being punished for it. But it's like, how does she undo this? And then it's insinuating that there needs to be someone sacrificed to the woods and that sort of thing. And ultimately, that's the only way to survive this and to satisfy whatever this is or whatever they are, as it were. And that's how it goes. And it's kind of like, oh, she's gonna, at the end, she has a choice to make, and can't really say she made the right one. Even though there's a solution to this that takes place between her and another character, and how it gets there. So that's all I can do without telling you, point by point, what happened and how it's resolved. But it's a very, very, very dark turn, and I don't think it was the right. Morally speaking, I could argue that's not the right, even though the consequences, I guess, would be severe. But anyway, but that's part of the interesting aspect of it. It's a horror movie, and one of those things about horror movies, quite a few where there's good guys and they win in the end and that sort of thing. But then, by the time the 70s came along, you got a bunch that's no, nobody gets out alive and that kind of thing, or something like this. It's kind of twisted. But so all in all, not a waste of time. It's very well shot, and the main actress, she does a good job and all that. It's just some of it I was like, and maybe I should just watch it again. It's not like it's very, very complicated in the sense like there's some puzzle here or anything like that, but there's a bit of confusion, a little bit here and there. But overall, I think it carries itself enough to be a successful little horror film here. And so you could, and if you're into horror movies, I would recommend this one. Some amount of gore, but not really intensive. And some scenes are just rather bizarre. Seen far worse than that. But I once again also completely wrapped in sadness. Because basically you have a broken character here for what happened to her sister and that sort of thing. So, and then the ramifications that followed after it, as indicated by, her past and whatnot that she's forced to face through this bizarre journey into this supernatural world and that sort of thing. So, there you go. It's rather recent. I think it came out last year. So do check it out and see what you think. But that was the first one of this list I've made here of films, and I'll get to the next one as soon as possible. And this is kind of an idea I've come up with because after a late night with the devil, I started thinking, and this would be something to delve into a little more regularly, as I'm so burnt out on popular franchises that have completely collapsed and destroyed themselves at this point. And I need a break and I look at something else, and so I've been doing that. So there'll be more of that. Yeah, not just for October and Halloween. Although when October gets here, yeah, everything will be horror. But anyway, there you go. Lovely, dark, and deep.